For many Marylanders, particularly those impacted by domestic violence, the COVID-19 pandemic has magnified the hardships typically faced by survivors and their families.
During these unprecedented times, organizations tasked to support families with domestic violence, such as House of Ruth and Hartley House,
have seen an increase in the number of clients seeking out their services while operating with the same personnel and resources. Moreover, many of the legal issues faced by their clients are not subject matters that can be serviced by their in-house legal departments.
In particular, the economic upheaval caused by COVID-19 has led to eviction notices, foreclosure, disputes over medical or consumer debt, as well as the denial of public benefits, not to mention ongoing issues with immigration or deportation.
Please listen closely to the following public service announcement to see what you can do to volunteer and represent one of the families in need who are unable to afford legal representation.
The House of Ruth Maryland is a comprehensive domestic violence agency. Our domestic violence legal clinic provides representation to victims of domestic violence in protective order and family law cases. We have offices in courthouses in Baltimore City and Prince George's, Montgomery, and Baltimore counties, and we serve clients throughout the state. Our 23 attorneys and legal advocates provide consultations, lethality assessment, safety planning, referrals, and representation to over 3,000 clients a year. Domestic violence is not the only legal issue many of our clients face, and sometimes their other legal needs are far more pressing than a protective order or pursuing a family law case. Safety is important, but many of our clients find it hard to escape the abuse because they do not have financial resources, or they have immigration issues, or they need to find housing or are currently facing eviction, or they face debt collection and tax issues, and many other legal issues that serve as barriers to them escaping the abuse. One client that comes to mind is Sue, which is not her real name. Sue came to the United States after having given birth to 5 children in her native country. During their marriage, Sue's husband, who we'll call Bob, brutalized her on a regular basis, including pushing, punching, and slapping her. Several times he brandished a knife and threatened to kill her. One time he punched her in the stomach while she was pregnant. During their marriage, Bob would not let Sue work and kept her isolated. When they came to the United States, Sue didn't have any family or contacts. Sue had limited education and spoke an unusual dialect, making it hard for her to communicate with people, even others from her native country. Because Bob kept her isolated and did not let her leave the house very often, Sue never learned to speak English. After a particularly severe incident of abuse, Sue sought help by applying for a protective order, and one of our attorneys represented her. After a lengthy trial, at which Bob had an attorney, the court granted a protective order against Bob. We wish this protective order brought an end to Sue's suffering, but unfortunately, as is true for many of our clients, it did not. Shortly after the court issued the protective order against him, Bob left Maryland for his native country, leaving Sue and the children without any money or even groceries. Unbeknownst to Sue, because she never had access to any financial information and cannot read English, Bob had stopped paying the rent at their apartment, and the landlord is now trying to evict Sue and the children. So, even though the protective order grants her use and possession of the apartment, she may not be able to stay there because of Bob's failure to pay rent. He also has refused to pay the emergency family maintenance ordered in the protective order. Before leaving the US, Bob stole Sue's and the children's green cards, leaving them without any identification. Not only does Sue have to deal with the lengthy process of replacing the family's green cards, the lack of identification also prevents her from applying for public benefits, which she desperately needs. This case is but one example of the ways in which House of Ruth's clients have tremendous need of legal assistance beyond just obtaining a protective order. Unfortunately, our funding and resources do not leave us with the ability to help clients with these other legal matters. By volunteering to represent clients like Sue within your own area of expertise, you can help address some of the many legal needs which keep victims of domestic violence from breaking free of the abuse.
Hello, my name is Inga James, and I'm the President and Executive Director of Hartley House, the only organization in Frederick County to provide comprehensive services to victims and survivors of domestic violence. Our legal department consists of 3 attorneys, including the legal services director, and 3 victim advocates. During the pandemic, our requests for legal services increased by nearly 35%, while our staffing level remained the same. In addition to the increase in legal requests, most cases have been extremely complex, with clients often needing assistance in many different areas. I'd like to introduce you to Blaine Hoffman, Legal Services Director for Hartley House. Blaine has been representing victims of domestic violence for over 20 years, including 15 at Hartley House. Blaine?
The Hartley House client, Rita, is a female in her 30s, and she only speaks Spanish. She is a permanent resident in the United States, and her husband, Carlos, is a citizen. Carlos uses her status as a way to control her. The parties have 3 children in common, and she is pregnant with a 4th. Husband has an alcohol problem, and one night while intoxicated, he became very irrational and jealous and shot Rita in the back of her head, blowing away 1/3 of her skull. Rita was hospitalized for several months and still to this day has not fully recovered. Later, due to her injuries, she even miscarried. Upon her release, Hartley House was able to represent Rita in the protective order hearing and obtain a protective order. We also then immediately filed a divorce and custody, which is still pending. But even with Hartley House's assistance, Rita still needs help with other legal issues, such as immigration, victims' rights, bankruptcy, a potential tort against Carlos. She may be facing eviction. And when she returns to work, she may need assistance with ADA disability accommodations. Finding a pro bono attorney for Rita would be absolutely life-changing for her.
Hi, everyone. My name is Margaret Henn, and I'm the Director of Program Management at Maryland Volunteer Lawyers Service, or MVLS. MVLS is a statewide organization that connects Marylanders facing financial hardship with volunteer lawyers, tax professionals, and community partners to deliver free legal assistance. The primary areas we assist in are family law, housing, consumer, criminal record relief, income tax controversy, and estate planning and administration. Domestic violence survivors can face many different types of legal challenges and barriers as a result of their abuse. No matter what your practice area is, you can help with this effort. In the family law context, we frequently assist DV survivors who are seeking to cut ties with their abusers and provide a safe environment for their children with divorce cases and child custody cases. We also help DV victims who are seeking a name change after leaving their abuser. In divorce cases, it's sometimes the case that the abuser stops paying the mortgage on what has been the family home and the house ends up in foreclosure. So in these cases, our volunteers are able to assist in foreclosure defense as well. Many domestic violence survivors face financial exploitation and abuse. One area in which volunteers can help in assisting these clients is in defending debt collection suits or in filing bankruptcy. This can be hugely beneficial to helping the client get a fresh start. In a similar vein, in situations where an abuser has been withholding access to financial accounts and information, which is fairly common, DV victims can find themselves in tax trouble with the IRS. MVLS volunteers can also help with innocent spouse cases with the IRS. Finally, I wanted to mention our human trafficking prevention program in conjunction with UB Law. Many of our clients in this program have faced domestic violence. Volunteers are critical to assisting with family law, consumer, and criminal record relief in this program. Hopefully, after listening to the compelling stories that House of Ruth and Hartley House shared and hearing about all the ways you can help, you're interested in taking the next step to assist a domestic violence survivor. MVLS offers free online trainings on all the types of cases I've mentioned. We also offer mentors for your cases and malpractice insurance. We hope that you will take the next step and reach out to help someone with legal assistance who's facing domestic violence.
My name is Dave Panzer, and I'm the Director of Education for the Pro Bono Resource Center of Maryland. PBRC coordinates efforts across Maryland to train, mentor, and connect lawyers from every part of the state with opportunities to give back through pro bono legal service. PBRC's in-house legal clinics give volunteer lawyers an opportunity to practice under supervision and with mentorship in the areas of housing, immigration, debt defense negotiation, and courtroom advocacy for tenants. PBRC also partners with all of the legal services nonprofits across the state to train and deploy volunteers to serve in areas as diverse and relevant as bankruptcy, expungement, employment law, family law, or housing. As we hear from our local partners, the House of Ruth and Hartley House, survivors of domestic violence can encounter a multitude of legal challenges in the wake of abuse. If a survivor shows up to our court clinics on the day of an eviction, immigration, or debt collection hearing, a volunteer attorney is available to provide one-on-one legal advice or direct representation. This timely assistance is crucial in helping survivors address pressing legal needs, supporting them on their path toward building a stable, safe, and violence-free life. If you are a lawyer anywhere in the state of Maryland looking for ways to volunteer and assist survivors of domestic violence as they navigate critical legal issues, PBRC can help you get involved. Our trainings are available on demand and are ready for any lawyer to complete on their own time.
Thank you so much for listening to our PSA. If you are able to provide pro bono legal services to domestic violence survivors, please follow the link at the bottom of the screen. When completing the pro bono volunteer form, please indicate in the final comments box that you are interested in providing legal services to domestic violence survivors. Thank you so much for your time.